Previously on the Dreamer's Edge podcast.
Batman at the movies.
Presently on the Dreamer's Edge podcast. Batman at the movies.
Hello, I'm Dimitri, webmaster of thedreamersedge.com and movie critic for askman.com.
My name is Kazam. I'm an English editor with the Lux Digital.
I'm Bill.
And we're back to discuss the second part of our audio show on Batman at the movies.
Yeah.
Alright. After Batman Returns, the golden years of Batman were over. Because after that,
Oh God.
Joel Schumacher came on board. Is it Schumacher or Schumacher?
Schumacher, isn't it?
Schumacher. Yeah.
I say Schumacher.
It's German, I guess?
Yeah, it's German.
I would say Macher, then, wouldn't it?
I don't know.
Wouldn't it be the sort of guttural H sound?
Perhaps.
Macher?
Schumacher?
Probably.
Although I doubt he
No.
pronounces his name
Kind
that
of like Bach.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
And just for the sake of it, even if it's wrong, I think it's better if it just goes Schumacher all the way. The thing with Joel Schumacher is, like, it's easy to dismiss him as a really bad director. Yeah, I'm gonna do it the entire time. You can laugh all you want, I'm gonna do it. But he was actually hot property when he came on board. He was this indie director who did a couple of studio pictures that were really interesting. When I'm talking about St. Elmo's Fire and The Lost Boys was hugely popular as well. And it's a good movie. He's a talented director. And the result was Batman Forever. So tell us more about what Joel Schumacher did.
Was this the one where the nipples appeared?
Yes, that's the one.
So, in this movie, Riddler decides that he wants to suck people's brains out for some reason. I don't
the
even
brain
remember.
waves, not the
Oh,
brain.
brain waves. Sorry,
Because that would
always
just be
wrong.
too messy.
Yes, he invents some sort of virtual reality TV kind of thing where he can reverse the flow of information, figure out how that works. And Two-Face is Harvey Dent, of course, who got acid splashed in his face and turned into, well, it's not really Two-Face because he never actually shows the Harvey Dent face. He's just evil, so they might as well call him One-Face. And that's it. So they duke it out. Riddler sucks brains, and this movie sucks ass.
You forgot to introduce Robin.
Yeah.
I don't dislike the movie nearly as much as you do.
Really?
I dislike it, but not nearly as much as you do. The thing about Two-Face that I want to address, yes, he doesn't display Two-Face, and there's a scene where he keeps flipping the coin until he gets the result he wants. Well, that doesn't seem right. That doesn't really seem in keeping with the character.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I think Schumacher grew up in the Batman 60s era, and for him, the Adam West Batman is the real Batman. And I think he tried bringing it back to that. And I actually think Tommy Lee Jones' performance as Two-Face is reminiscent of that. He's not Two-Face, he's just a cackling madman with a gimmick that's really in keeping with the Adam West Batman. And actually Tommy Lee Jones plays it really well. His performance seems straight out of the 60s. So I didn't have actually any problem with Two-Face. But if you really at the way you look at the film, Jim Carrey's performance tanks the movie. It's all one note, a really loud note. Everything is a punchline, and he screams every punchline, and it's just him being turbulent instead of him being goofy in that cackling madman way of the Adam West thing.
The Batman character doesn't follow that, though.
There's a couple of line readings that he seems to be deliberately imitating Adam West.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Although I will say one thing about Kilmer. In some of the readings, you can feel the Adam West. In most of the thing, he's really flat. It was as if Batman was being played by a T-800. Come with me if you want to live.
Programming malfunction. Yeah, I mean, think about it. The ridiculous suit, as you brought up, the rubber nipples. I mean, I think he knew where his character was going. If you just think of it in terms of camp, I actually enjoyed him when I think of him that way. He's very lighthearted. He's very cheery. But yeah, I agree. Tommy Lee Jones, I mean, I like him as an actor always. Very good performance from him.
He's Two-Face if Two-Face was put in the 60s show.
Well, exactly. He doesn't require a lot of depth. Just in the sense that he's a villain. That's really all you need to know. He's a villain. He likes to make jokes. Following up after the two Burton films, you're expecting something a lot darker perhaps,
Mhm.
to kind of keep the theme going. And so there's this disconnect because all of a sudden you're back in camp of the 1960s, right?
The disconnect isn't just in the audience. I think the movie itself seems a bit torn. For a movie that's supposed to represent the lighter years of Batman, it sure is dark in Gotham.
Yeah, no.
It's
Mhm.
never day.
Visually,
Yeah.
it's not at all reminiscent of the 60s.
No,
Exactly.
it tries to be, like, there's a scene where Two-Face and Riddler rob a bank. The set where the bank is, it's a great reproduction of what you'd find in one of those episodes. But the rest of the movie, it's all dark, and I get the feeling that that's Tim Burton not really wanting to let go completely of his vision of Batman, and I don't necessarily blame him for that. He's a producer. That's part of his prerogative as producer to try to push it that way. But you do feel a disconnect. I think that what happened is that Joel Schumacher tried to offset that with a lot of neon lights,
Mhm.
and it was like red and green, and I can't understand that choice because red and green are the hardest colors to process for the eyes.
Mhm.
They're usually associated with really unpleasant visual experiences. And that's all this freaking movie is. Red and green everywhere, and every shot screams for attention, a little bit like Dick Tracy.
Yeah.
The angles are a little bit crooked, and then you have Jim Carrey shouting, and you have cackling Tommy Lee Jones and Robin, who seems to think he's playing in a genuine action film.
The one really serious character in there.
So you have all these mixed ideas of people who don't seem to be coordinated, and it's just an obnoxious result. It's
So-
2
so,
hours
yeah.
of really pain.
So what you're saying essentially is the best Two-Face is the movie itself instead of the actor.
I get what Joel Schumacher was trying to do. I'm going to run that joke into the ground.
Yeah.
But I think he failed to communicate it, probably because Schumacher has a history of really having difficulty imposing his will on high-budget movies. He probably doesn't know how to stand up to producers, is my guess.
I give it a D+.
I gave it a C-. It was jarring visually, as well as the acting. At no point was it really cohesive, where you could get a sense of where the story was going, where these characters are coming from. Other than enjoying Tommy Lee Jones' performance as Two-Face, there wasn't really much in it for me.
Well, I did not enjoy the movie. I found it was pretty just ridiculous. Didn't seem to have much of a point. D+.
Nicole Kidman, we forgot to talk about her. She's smoking hot. And here's the thing, I saw the movie at the premiere. Behind me was 3 guys, bachelor type, something. There's a scene where Nicole Kidman is in her bed with a white sheet, her legs spread apart, her butt sticking out, and from the top, clearly she's naked under the sheets. All 4 of us, at the same time, went, oof. I never felt more manly, like, I don't know. Having said that, Batman Forever actually did fairly well in the box office numbers.
Very
Really?
well.
Yeah.
Yes, it actually,
Yeah.
no, it did extremely well.
Yeah.
I remember the cinema was being packed.
It was a huge success, Batman Forever.
Well,
Which-
Jim Carrey was on a high at that point, wasn't he?
Heavens know why, but
It's true, though. A lot of people liked him at the time.
yeah, and a lot of people go like, "Oh wow, he did pretty
He's a
good."
comedic genius, according to some people.
And a lot of people went like, "Oh wow, he did really good in his first dramatic role in Batman Forever." And first of all, I was like, "Dramatic role, Batman Forever."
Yeah, exactly.
His
Little
first
contradiction.
dramatic role would be Truman Show, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but the thing with that though is that with Jim Carrey, everybody goes like, "Oh, he did pretty good for a comedian like he did," and I always feel like we keep giving him too much slack. It's never like it was really convincing this role. It's like, "Oh, it was pretty good given that he's a comedian," which is another way of saying he's really bad and you won't admit it.
Yes.
Especially since, I mean, the actors that are able to get comedy right are usually better actors.
Yes.
Because
Exactly.
the timing is so hard to get in comedy that if you're able to do comedy, you're generally able to do drama.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're essentially doing comedians a disservice. So there you go.
That's true. I mean, just look at Robert De Niro trying to be funny, to give you an example of a great dramatic actor who can't do comedy to save his life.
It's painful, actually. It wounded me deeply.
Hmm. But anyway, all this led to Batman and Robin, again with Schumacher leading it, because he had such a success with Batman Forever. And who was doing Batman and Robin?
That would be me.
Okay.
So, Batman Forever, we have Mr. Freeze.
Like Batman and Robin.
Batman Robin, sorry. Oh god.
I'm Mr. White Christmas. I'm Mr. Snow.
Woo-wee, Batman and Robin. So, you got George Clooney, you got Chris O'Donnell reprising his role as Robin, and George Clooney as Batman, just in case for some reason no one made that connection. But you've got Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze, and Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy.
It's kind of sad when you list the actors and the only one who's not a flavor of the month is like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh,
But-
George Clooney isn't exactly a flavor of the month
At the
now.
time.
At the time he was.
He's kind of like ER fame.
Yeah.
But essentially, Mr. Freeze trying to save his wife, who has some sort of terminal disease.
You know, she was married to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, there you go. And basically, he's looking to find a cure, so he's frozen her for the time being, whatever. She's in some sort of cryogenic stasis. Teams up with Poison Ivy in the hopes of distracting Batman long enough that he can accomplish his devious plans, whatever those may be.
In my opinion, the most memorable part of this movie is Arnold's performance. But not in a good way.
I mean, once again, it's Adam West style, and it's a little bit more confident about it. Like the opening fight sequence where Mr. Freeze has frozen some discotheque and skating hockey player villains start skating around Batman and Robin, and Batman and Robin fall on the ground and then get their bat skates out of their boots. It's staged exactly right for what Schumacher is trying to get at. If you could have kept that tone, I would have forgiven you all the camp. But it just tumbles with way too many puns. Oh, everybody freeze. People chill out. Let's let him thaw out.
Take 2 of these and call me in the morning.
That one was the most important one. It's at a very important dramatic moment. You're supposed to feel sorry for the character. And he does something very redemptive, so it should be touching. And nothing better to punctuate this moment than a really lame pun about him being called doctor and therefore prescribing something. Take 2 of these and call me in the morning. Oh wait, I'll be dead. My joke don't work.
Oh, you get the answering machine.
Allow me to break the ice. Tonight's forecast. A freeze is coming. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age! Stay cool, bird boy. I'm afraid that my condition has left me cold. To your pleas of mercy, you are not sending me to the cooler. Let's kick some ice. Cool party. It's a cold town. All right, everyone. Chill. Winter has come at last. Revenge is a dish best served cold. Chill. To perfection. Can you be cold, Batman?
The movie also introduces Batgirl, who is in this version Alfred's niece, played by Alicia Silverstone in a bat suit that barely fits her. I'm being unfair to her. I mean, like, I actually...
She's a lovely girl. Lovely girl.
No, but I actually found her more attractive then than I do now that she's lost all that weight and looks a little bit too skinny for my taste. Because, you know, natural curves.
That's what makes a woman.
If anybody's listening, it's, you know, a healthy weight, that's good. Kelly Clarkson, hot. But yes, I'm being completely unfair with Alicia Silverstone. I think given her really lame ass material, she was perfectly decent. Not the most convincing person in the fight scene. Say what you will about Chris O'Donnell, at least he looked convincing when he was beating up bad guys.
That's true, because he's always taking his role seriously. He's always like that serious little center.
He was essentially channeling Dr. Doug Ross in a bad suit is essentially what he was doing.
Actually, weirdly enough, it's because of his performance as Batman in this film that it took me a long time to appreciate him later on as an actor. It's true, it took me a really long time because I just so despised him as Batman that I could not bear to look at the man without the bile rising.
He didn't get it though, it's the problem. It's like, in an interview back then I remember reading it and going like, what? He said in an interview that Batman was now approaching his 40s and, you know, his parents had been dead when he was a child, maybe it's time he got over it. Not only is that not Batman, there's no character conflict.
No, if Batman never gets over his parents' death, by definition, he gives up the bat suit.
Exactly.
You know?
He becomes a corporate citizen.
And Uma Thurman.
Did she have really freaky eyebrows? Or
Yeah, they were green and made out of
That's what
plants.
I remember most about her character. Those eyebrows. I spent most of my time looking at them.
Well, she controls plants, so...
That's true. I suppose they could groom her.
Yeah.
Moss.
No, what I remember most of Uma Thurman is her slow delivery to let you know that I'm sexy Allowing Arnold Schwarzenegger to slip in a punt every time, every break.
So essentially, they did work well together then.
Although you'd figure that plants would freeze. It seems
Yeah.
like a stupid union to me.
Yeah.
Oh, there was Bane in that movie, wasn't there? If you're gonna have Bane in the movie, why not cast Arnie as Bane?
Yeah.
That would have made sense. Perfect casting. Oh well.
Oh well.
Instead of Mr. Freeze, which has traditionally been a weak character physically, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, that's exactly it.
Possibly. I'm not familiar with him in the comic books.
I don't know
Well,
the comic
usually-
books, but the animated series has portrayed him as a
He's
very...
physically weak and
Yeah.
he relies on technology.
Exactly.
Technological suits. Robotic suits.
Wasn't he
I don't
super
know about
strong
the
in the
original.
Adam West one? I think he was super
possibly,
strong.
yeah. In the Adam West one, he is very strong, but in the
Oh yeah,
animated
so they're
series,
going back to the 60s.
in the animated series, he's weak.
Which I find fits better.
Yes, I think it works better for me as well.
Yeah, no, it's more romantic that way.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, how many super scientists are going to be like huge bodybuilders? That's right, Will Smith and I Am Legend.
No, I'm going F. I just saw no redeeming qualities whatsoever in this movie. And, yeah.
No, I gave it a D, simply because regardless of how bad I thought the movie was, Arnold Schwarzenegger does entertain me with all his really bad puns. So, there you go.
D minus.
Wow, you're generous.
No, because I only give F for movies that I think will be worse for humanity. Like, Birth of a Nation.
The
Faces
Eternal
of Death.
Jew, any of those?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, the only crime that Batman and Robin can truly do is bore the crap out of me, which it did. Actually, no, that's not even fair. It didn't bore me. It amused me to no end for all the wrong reasons.
The fact that I wasn't used on some level.
I find a movie of this horrible quality to be morally reprehensible.
Well, there you have it. The funny thing about Batman and Robin is also that we're not the only ones who hated it. Everybody did. Especially, apparently, Bruce Timm and Paul Dini. Because they immediately followed it, like, a year later with Batman Sub-Zero, which is essentially the same story done right. They even included Batgirl for the sake of doing it. It's part of the animated series. It was a direct-to-DVD release. It's a Mr. Freeze story. They jettisoned Poison Ivy. Mr. Freeze is trying to save his wife. He's hiding in the Antarctic because he doesn't really want to be part of the crime or everything. But a submarine smashes his headquarters, including the vat where his wife is being kept, and he ends up kidnapping Barbara Gordon, who's Batgirl in that universe. She's not the niece of Alfred in the cartoon series or in the comic books, for that matter. She's the daughter of Commissioner Gordon.
Which makes for a lot more interesting story.
Oh, well, that's one thing I forgot to mention about Batman Robin, is the reason why they did that is because it had a unifying theme like all the other movies, and this one was family.
Right.
Yeah.
Didn't they have a Commissioner Gordon?
Yeah, but he's not part of the family.
He's not, he's kind of on the outskirts there.
No, I mean, I understand that decision if you want to keep the theme of family in it. The only problem is, why would you attach Batman to the theme of family?
Yeah.
Apart from
The fact that he's
Yeah.
lost his,
Yeah.
but he got
he's
over it, so
collecting
who cares?
collecting young children to replace him.
So yeah, so that's the story of Sub-Zero. Barbara Gordon gets kidnapped, forcing Batman and Robin to go after her and try to figure out what's going on. It's actually it's not as good as Mask of the Phantasm. It doesn't have the intricate plotting. It's not really much of a mystery. It's more of a straight action story. But I enjoyed it a lot, mostly because it got the characters right every time.
Yeah.
On the heels of Batman and Robin, it was so great to see all these characters interacting the way that you would expect them to, and in a way that felt right.
And they're just much more interesting characters than what was introduced in the movies, so it makes for a more interesting movie.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, I found myself very moved by the character of Mr. Freeze.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, Mr. Freeze, the versions that I've seen that I've liked the most he's always been a very tragic character. You feel for the guy. He's not a bad guy.
No, not at all. He keeps in that movie. He keeps saving people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He doesn't just throw people under the wheel and just let it be because you happen to be in my way at the time as I was trying to do something, right? Which makes him very sympathetic.
Yeah.
And you can emphasize with his pain the fact that here's the woman he loves, desperately wants to save, supposedly has a very brilliant mind of his own, and yet is at a loss.
Well, I will disagree about one thing. He will sacrifice people to save his wife.
That's true.
For the goal. I mean,
That's true.
He's not gonna.
Yeah, okay,
he's going to stop at nothing, but he won't go out of his way, or he'll make some effort. If he has a choice between something that's gonna cost lives and achieve his goal, or something that won't achieve his goal, well, he's gonna go for the one that doesn't, even if it's a bit harder.
He's not ruthless.
I'm just going to go completely off topic, just because it reminds me of the story. There are several Batman the Animated Series movies, which I guess would be Batman the Animated Movies.
Sounds so ridiculous. I'm sorry.
And the last one they ever made was The Mystery of Batwoman, which is actually a really good one, direct-to-video one. And it has a really great mystery of Batwoman. Regarding the identity of Batwoman, if you go on the Amazon page and you read the reviews, be very careful, because the first one that popped out on the page when I bought the DVD through Amazon was OMG in big letters. Batwoman is...
Oh, Lord!
I could never have guessed that.
Thank you for spoiling that.
No, I was reading and going like, and I can never guess it either now, can I?
Yeah, I've never heard of that one.
Oh, it's a good one.
Because the last thing I saw was with that new Batman series, and it was Batman versus Dracula.
Oh. Okay, that's
Seriously? Dracula?
I'm very pleased that Batman Brave and the Bold came out to erase the Batman from my memory. Alrighty then, this leads us to our final segment, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, the Electric Boogaloo Factory. Every episode, we're going to take a movie or a series that generally doesn't deserve a sequel and try to come up with what would make a great sequel for it. By great, I mean stupid as all get out. What would you do if you had to make Batman and Robin Part 2?
Oh, Lord.
Any idea? Okay, while they were snickering, going like, I'm not participating in this. Because if he does, P.O.'s gonna have to give himself an F, you know. I will confess that when I watched it, I was still a teenager back then, right? You know, like any aspiring writer does, you watch something, whether you like it or hate, you go like, where do you go from there? It's just part of the storytelling exercise. And I did conceive a sequel for it, which I had called Arkham Knight.
Good title.
Well, except that Arkham has never been introduced.
But it has.
Yeah.
It has? Yeah, the Riddler gets put in Arkham.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
So the whole movie was going to take place in one night during a breakout at Arkham, and Batman is in there trying to stop it and trying to figure out what caused it and where it all started. And while he was doing that, there was going to be flashbacks showing how he got to his point. Because this new Batman would be a little bit more armored up. Because, you know, I went with the knight theme, so I wanted him to look more like a knight in my head. And he was alone. He was like the desperate, lonely character that I was more used to after that.
So if he's alone, how does this make a Batman and Robin?
Hold on.
We'll get to that. You know he is.
The flashbacks tell you how he disconnected from his family that he established in Batman and Robin. How he increasingly got too edgy, and Robin just had enough, and he went like, I'm going out to college, you're crazy, I don't want any part of this anymore. And he was left with Batgirl.
And then the Titans would have crucified you for not introducing Nightwing.
No. In the flashbacks, it was all about Robin going like, I'm done with you, from now on I'm Nightwing, I'm doing my own thing, because you're a crazy dude. With that delivery.
You have to be in keeping with the previous one.
Exactly. Right.
And the whole idea we meet that the Joker actually survived his, 70-story fall in the end of the Batman. And he's in a wheelchair now, and he corrupted this, Dr. Harley Quinn. Mm-hmm. So you'd have Harley Quinn, you'd have a little bit of the Joker, but he's only as a kind of a Hannibal Lecter type character, always in his cell, nobody really touches it. The villain would actually be the Scarecrow. Okay. And the movie would end with Batman killing the Scarecrow.
Spoiler alert.
For the film that is not yet
and
in
then,
existence.
and then him waking up and realizing, because the Scarecrow's gimmick is that he has this powder that makes people live their greatest fears. And that was his hallucination from the gas, is that he finally turned into a killer. And granted, it doesn't match Batman and Batman Returns, but it does match Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. And it would all culminate into an end scene, which was gonna be really intimate and all, where he would like come out the morning after, because it was just all in one night, go to the backyard of the mansion, still like in half suit but with a mask off. And as he's passing through his house, you get on the answering machine, Chris O'Donnell's voice going like, "Hey dude, like, you know, I'm thinking," but like he just ignores it. He goes straight to his parents' grave and like kneel in front of his parents' grave and going like, you know, "Am I doing the right thing? Oh God, am I doing the right thing?" And then Alfred with an umbrella is showing up next to him going like, "I think your parents would be very proud." And that's how the movie ends. What I'm kind of amazed by is that how much of these tropes are actually in the rebooted version.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I'm actually quite proud of having touched what clearly greater minds have come up with, you know? So not bad for a teenager, I think.
You were definitely on the right track.
Having said that, now that I'm looking at it, I think it's a little bit too melancholic. If I had to do the Electric Boogaloo Factory today, and my God, interrupt me at some point.
We're just in awe of your running talent.
We're not the writers here. Oh, okay. I'm not the writer here.
Supposedly I am, but I'm bowing down to the master here. Let's go.
No, but if I were to do it now, I would want to go the opposite route that the reboot went. Batman and Robin and Batgirl. That should be the title of the movie.
Ampersand.
Yeah, she went on.
Very nice.
Batman, Robin, and Batgirl. And they always have a theme, these movies, so I think the theme should be triangle. There would be a love triangle between the three. Like, Batgirl's in love with Batman, Batman's in love with Robin, Robin's in love with Batgirl.
That's one thing, totally off subject. I always found missing in the triangles was that it's never a triangle. It's always more of a V. Because they never complete the triangle with a man-man relationship.
Exactly.
Order.
A 90-degree angle, perhaps.
So naturally you need a villain. It needs to keep with the theme of triangles, and the only one I could find in the old catalog of Adam West, because you want to keep in the Adam West stuff, was King Tut, who's a pharaoh of pyramids. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it would be all about the Bat family trying to stop him, but not getting anywhere because they can't get along.
Yeah.
No? No.
Yeah, I think I preferred your first version.
Although, admittedly, this is more of a sequel to the
It's
Batman
true.
and Robin.
It would be more in keeping with the mood.
It does. I honestly think Scarecrow is lesser known than King Tut.
Really?
They're pretty... Well, now Scarecrow is better known.
Yeah, that's true. But
Yeah,
they're
At the
both
time,
pretty...
they were both pretty obscure.
Yeah.
Well, King Tut at least was in 8 episodes of the Adam West show.
Are you counted?
Yeah.
He's thorough, man.
Scarecrow was in none.
Yeah,
First
Scarecrow is hard to put into a campy version.
Yeah, I guess that's enough nonsense for this episode, so... Until we find a catchphrase, tune in next time at the same bad time.
Same bad time, same bad channel, was it? In
You've
English?
already forgotten what it is.
Pretty sure, same bad time, same bad channel.
That's a good one. Actually, also, if you have any suggestions, questions, or whatever, you can email us at mail@thedreamersedge.com. Bye-bye.
On the next Dreamer's Edge podcast, Batman at the Movies.